Helldivers just received a 3.8 gig update this morning, bringing in a ton of changes to not only weaponry, but also to gameplay mechanics, status effects, and even some insane hidden changes as well. Through some extensive testing, we've also found some issues along with some interesting discoveries based on those new changes. Welcome back to the channel. This is Lieutenant Buzz Lightyear, and if you want to know the latest in Helldivers news, stay tuned because I've got you covered. In case you're new here, the easy and free way to support the channel is by hitting subscribe and also ringing the notifications bell so you never miss my future upload alerts. And with that, let's get into the latest from Helldivers. The first thing you'll notice once you log in today is that we've got a brand new 7-day major order tasked with holding 𝗙𝗨𝗟𝗟, 𝗙𝗲𝗿𝗏, and 𝗪𝗏 versus the Automatons as they attempt to destabilize the capacity of the DSS by taking out key strategic points vital to supplies and logistics for the Helldivers Death Star. Not mentioned in the Helldiver briefing or today's patch notes is anything to do with several new and hidden additions to the game when it comes to taking on those pesky bots. The first is that players now get the opportunity to take on the automatons within the borders of mega cities, adding a sweaty, close quarters feel to the combat as you thread your way through the alleyways towards those key points of interest. But beware, divers, because the bots have now deployed a new menace to the battlefield known as the Assault Walker, which begins appearing on level 6 difficulty missions on up. Looking just like the ED-209 enforcement droid from RoboCop, the Assault Walker packs a serious punch, not only with its dual arm-mounted laser cannons, but it also deploys a series of aerial grenades that can inflict serious damage in AoE. Information is still a bit sketchy when it comes to the Assault Walker, but early reports are that it is equipped with heavy armor from top to bottom, and weak point information is non-existent at this point. Expect to need to use anti-tank weapons to down it, and I had great success against it using the Spear, which was a one-shot, one-kill engagement. Baked into today's update 1.003.200 was a slew of changes made to status effects, as an unintended status effect replicating bug was identified and now corrected. You see, in the past, status effects were said to incorrectly be multiplied from host to party members, essentially buffing the effects by multiple times, creating a major discrepancy between what a solo player would see versus a player in a full squad. The developers have said that with this new change to status effects, they've also skewed the tables towards being more favorable towards solo players, taking less time and applying status effects now for longer, while also making it more balanced for squads as well. Weapons like the Pacifier assault rifle and Pummeler SMG along with the Blitzer have all had their stun mechanics adjusted, with the Pacifier and Pummeler now stunning for twice as long as before, with stun values applied to enemies also being increased. Yeah, overall stun was very situational, especially for solo players due to just how ineffective it had become, and this should even out the effects for a more consistent feel between squad sizes. Adding even more stun value to the Blitzer is simply insane because of how strong it was before and the fact that it can usually liquefy whatever target it's aimed at within a few shots. Both stun and stagger are effects that are not often discussed but can be a Helldiver's best friend, especially when surrounded by an angry mob, and it was revealed that the bayonets on both the Constitution and Amendment rifles were found to inflict less, that's right, less damage than a Helldiver punching a target. After today's update, 1.003.200, both weapons and specifically their bayonets have added an additional stagger force to put them at least even with a pure melee punch from a Helldiver. A mounted knife versus bare knuckles comes up even? Interesting comparison, but at least they are now, again, at least on an even playing field, at least for now. Diving even further into status effects, and several incendiary grenades now do even longer incendiarying. That's a completely made up word, by the way, as both fire grenades now have more fuel, so they burn for longer, leaving the fire AoE on the targets and ground for even longer. It seems that with the correction of that replicating status effect stacking issue now changed, the developers have also beefed up how long the effects can sustain that AoE damage, and it's going to be interesting to test this one out even further. Already a part of my testing this morning was the new stagger strength added to the Urchin grenade, as was previously set to 0. This now allows you to stick the Urchin to even the largest of targets like Bile Titans, and even though they are stun immune, the stagger pushes them around while it is active, effectively locking them out from spitting bile and causing them to stumble and stagger around. Even the new 𝗙escalator arc grenade launcher received a slight buff to stun values applied to enemies, and the new patch has also changed the amount of time it takes to set large enemies on fire. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Speaking of fire, the once wimpy flame sentry that would be destroyed by even the slightest whiff of fire has had its fire damage resistance buffed by nearly 100%, and even when we hit it directly with a flamethrower, it was able to withstand the incoming damage like a champ. Cooldown timers on the flame sentry have also had their base timers reduced by a further 50 seconds, and with all these changes to status effects, resistances, and cooldowns, I would expect a lot more fire to be hitting the battlefield after today's patch. But wait, because there's even more, as the Firebomb and Stun Pod boosters have had their base impact explosions buffed, while the stagger inflicted by those impact has been greatly reduced to make sure you don't get ragdolled nearly as much while in that area of the impact. Demo strength has also been reduced, as well as the base damage was of course increased. But overall, yeah, it's good changes to see these two boosters, as Helldivers HQ had really not adequately tested them, and they were known to send divers flying left, right, and center. Speaking of flying all over the place, ragdoll recovery, or specifically the time it takes for a player to regain control after being ragdolled, has also been reduced by nearly half, making it a faster turnaround for you to go from on your butt to on your feet and back in the fight. Faster is a theme we need to continue, as both the Scout Strider and Overseer variants have had certain armor values decreased, making it faster for a diver to hit these specific zones and drop them. For the Scout Strider, you know what it is, it's the legs, while the Overseer, long seen as a bit too tanky, has had its chest armor reduced to light armor. However, not every change worked as intended in today's update, as the one true flag stratagem, which has now been changed to allow you to plant it wherever, whenever, has sadly led to insta-crashing issues if you're not the one planting that flag. This one affects you the same if you are hosting or not hosting, and the only player that's going to be left in the party is the one planting that flag, while all others are instantly booted. It hasn't yet made it to the known issues board, but the devs have acknowledged the issue and a fix is in the works. But in the meantime, steer clear of the one true flag strat. Although the mention of the new chest bleed mechanics is quite small in today's patch write-up, it is one of, if not the most dramatic changes players will see with update 1.003.200, and if you're not prepared for it, you'll quickly find yourself bleeding out and dead on the ground. Now, through some extensive testing we did this morning, we found some interesting points about the chest injury bleed, which was increased, by the way, by 10 times, with the dev stating that the previous value was so low it could be completely erased just by using the vitality booster. To avoid this video becoming too long, I'm going to do something I don't normally do and include a full write-up of the 8 armor scenarios we tested down in my pinned comment, as I sat there equipped with these armors and was shot in the chest, once by the Peacemaker sidearm at close range, which by the way has a base damage of 85, but for the video's sake, here's a little bit of the recap. First off, there seems to be a break point at about half your health bar, and depending on what armor you're using and the passives that armor has, staying above that half health marker will not trigger a bleed out, which is key. Second off is the fact that the vitality booster is of course going to give you more of a cushion once the bleed out is triggered. And just so you know, we did test it without anything, as I was first off using the Gunslinger armor, which of course has no beneficial passives to it, and the amount of time from when the shot hit my chest to me hitting the ground and that bleed out was triggered was really quite fast. Extra padding was mostly effective, requiring 1 or 2 shots if wearing heavy armor to trigger a medium-paced bleed out. 𝗙𝗵𝗁cy Protects provides enough protection to save a third of your health bar with no bleed out effects, making it an absolutely strong selection. But listen to this. Heavy ballistic padding found on the Force of Law Warbond armors was found to be the most effective, as it not only reduces that initial damage you take to your chest, but the passive also makes it so no bleed out is activated. So, if you're seeing issues using your chosen armor while taking damage to the chest and quickly bleeding out, try out that heavy ballistic padding armor passive along with Vitality to keep you on your feet and in the fight. If you are interested in even more information about keeping you up and in the fight, I recently posted this video, a 20+ settings you will want to change video for Helldivers 2, and it's built for all skill levels. Link on the screen and also found in the video description. And if you have any comments about today's patch and recap, please also drop them down below. Tomorrow is the expected release of the next Cyberpunk update, which I will be covering, but expect another Helldivers video once the next Warbond releases in several days. Remember to hit subscribe and ring the notifications bell to stay up to date on all things Helldivers. We have channel memberships in place with tiers and perks for all levels, and a massive thanks goes out to those of you that have already taken that plunge. Until the next one, this is Lieutenant 𝗙𝗪𝗏 signing off.